What is going on, people? It's Bobby and welcome back to another Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 video on the channel. In this one we're going to be taking a deep dive into the combat on the game and how to basically do the basics at a high level so that you're able to essentially become almost godly to a certain point. We will take a look at unarmed combat, melee combat, and also how to fight against multiple enemies at the same time, and also how to defend yourself effectively when getting attacked by these enemies. The three stats that you're going to want to essentially know when you're doing combat in this game is strength. Obviously, strength is always a thing when you're playing melee-based games, and that is because it just gives you more damage per hit. So having a high strength stat is just always useful. You've also got agility, and agility helps you with your dodge and how quickly you can swipe and attack people. But it is worth noting that agility is particularly helpful for unarmed combat. There's the unarmed combat in this game is, when you've got high agility especially, particularly easy. And then from there, obviously, we will take a look at things like perfect dodging and stuff, and the stat that where that becomes particularly useful is vitality, because that's your stamina essentially. So the more stamina you've got, the longer you can dodge for, and the more effective your dodges will be. The more blocks you can do, the longer you can defend yourself and attack back before you need to basically take a breather. So you're going to want to build those three stats up. So just to repeat myself there, it's strength, agility, and also also vitality. We are going to start off by looking at the unarmed combat. Then we will move into melee combat, and finally we will look on how to fight against multiple enemies at the same time. And effectively be able to get through some of the tougher sequences of the game. As you can see here, I'm just in the middle. This is not an actual sequence of the game. I'm in the middle of Troskowitz here, just fighting people. But as you can see, we are doing okay, and we're managing essentially to defend ourselves. We're not looking to go too fast or anything. And I will be showing you also how to defend yourself when you get into these kinds of situations. So yeah, let's get straight into it by going into some unarmed combat and learning how to dodge at a super high level and essentially beat the living hell out of everybody. So let's get straight into that. Okay, people, so here we are in the combat, and essentially what is going to happen here, I'll just go into photo mode here so I can talk without having to concentrate too much. Essentially, you're going to have that little crosshair that you'll see again in a second that comes up on the screen, and that just tells you in unarmed combat which limb you're using to fight with, basically, or which direction you're going to hit from. So when it's highlighted in red on the right hand side, you're going to punch with your right fist. Highlighted in red on the left hand side, you will punch with your left fist. And then from the bottom, you can either perform like an uppercut or a kick. And yeah, this guy might just beat me up slightly here. Just make sure I get blocks. So here, I'll throw right hand, as you can see there. I'm just going to get hit a bunch here because I'm just throwing. That's the left hand, and then at the bottom, he will throw a kick. Kicks are really, I'll be honest, not that effective when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, just because they get dodged a lot. But if you can throw them right before your opponent hits, then you will get more hits than anything else. But as you can see there, it's just red, right, left, kick, basically. Now, obviously, when the little shield, I'll let it just come up here. When the shield comes up, you can press the L2 button. I'm on PlayStation, so it's L2. The left trigger, basically, back left trigger, when the little green shield comes up, and you will perform a block. If you just hold down that button, then you'll just block in general, as you can see here. Just wait for him to strike me. And you lose a little bit of health and a little bit of stamina, but not as much. But if you don't hold block and then wait for that little shield and tap the block button, you'll perform what's called a perfect block. And then, as you can see, those little swords come up afterwards, and that's your chance to counter, basically. And you do that by, when they come up, you just press the hit button. So I'll show you that now. So we'll wait for the shield, and then it's just L2, R2, and you get a counter opportunity. And they can go on and on. Your opponent can block or dodge your counters as well. So be ready for that to happen, especially if your counter is a kick. Like I say, kicks are really slow, but as you can see there, it's quite effective. However, You have got the circle button that you could use, or the B button it'll be if you're on an Xbox controller. So as your opponent goes to hit, if you use circle, you can dodge out the way like that. And in unarmed combat, dodging is overpowered. You just end up behind your opponent. So if we just wait here and wait for them to strike again, we just end up away. Or if we can dodge towards him and slightly to the side, so just wait for it to come through here. Go on, strike. We're behind them, and we just get some free strikes in there and a nice, easy knockout. So I really would pursue the dodge a lot when you're doing unarmed combat, and not so much the blocking. The dodge is it's honestly it's overpowered in unarmed combat. And when you master those things and you get used to, we'll just reload and fight this guy again here. When you get used to the timing of the perfect block and then immediately replying, and then the back and forth of your opponent doing the same thing to you, you basically become more or less unstoppable, especially in unarmed combat. Like, you become basically unstoppable. So if we go over to this guy again here, and we're just gonna, I've reloaded so we can fight him again. Normally you'd have to wait a little bit to fight these guys at the mill again, but we can start the fight. But like I say, if you get used to that time, and see there, we're just immediately just beating on them, just because we got that one block, that one dodge in. So there again, we've dodged him, we're round the back, he's gone for it there, so we'll just back up. Another good technique is, if your opponent counters you, is to actually just block his strike and back up. So if you dodge there, I'll just block the strike and I'll back up, and I'll just get my distance again. As you can see there, I'm now prepared for his strikes. Oh, that was my own fault entirely. I'm just waiting for the strikes to come in, and then I'm countering off of the back of what he does, as you can see there. The only other thing I would recommend you might want to do is wait for your opponent to strike, and then strike just before them. And you just basically get it's called a master strike, I think. Yeah, but in unarmed combat, it doesn't quite work quite as well as it does in melee combat, and I will show you that in a minute. In melee combat, it's absolutely insane, and I will show you that in a moment. But like I say, if you just look at it, like, all you've got to do is use your eyes here to see just how overpowered the dodge is. You literally end up behind your opponent, and then when he finally counters me, I just dodge backwards again, get out the way, block, get backwards, back around the back of him, and it is that easy. It really is. Like, unarmed combat in this game, at the start especially, later on when grappling becomes a little bit more prevalent, and the enemies are a little bit stronger, there is a little bit more to it, but that tried and true method of just dodging around the back and then throwing digs to the back of the head, it does just work, basically. The only other thing to unarmed combat, like I was just mentioned briefly there, is the grappling aspect of it. And there's a guy here who we can fight who's a good grappler. He's strong, so he actually is able to counter your grapples. Called Malik. So we're going to just fight him now, and I'll just show you some of the grappling. Now, you perform a grapple by essentially just getting really close to your opponent and then pressing the hit button, and you'll just automatically grapple them. So see if we can just get in there here. He's gone for a combo there. Here we go. There we go. We're grappling now. As you can see there, we got a little grapple attack in. Now, this guy is quite strong, so sometimes they'll counter your grapples. And if they do counter your if they do counter your grapple, what you essentially want to do is you need to wait for that little shield to come back up again and defend yourself, and then you can counter and perform another grapple attack. But like I said, there you go, and we sweep his leg there. So you're going down, getting close, and then you can sweep the leg just like that. It is really useful, and you can get them down on the ground. This guy, like I said, is a good grappler, so he gets up quite quick. Not all enemies get up quite quick. So whilst they're on the ground, you can actually just like ground and pound them. Which is, like I say, another useful tactic if you use down. That's if the arrow is on red at the bottom position, by the way. If the arrow is to the sides, then you'll go for almost like a little weird armbar type situation. It's quite strange. and they quite often block that one. But yeah, the grappling's there, but I'll be honest, like it, especially at the start of the game, if you're somebody who's at the start and just getting used to it, it's not going to be that big of a deal until you build your strength up. But you can't really use it to its full effectiveness until you've got a higher strength level. But once you have, go for it. Like I say, sweep the leg like you see me doing there by just getting the red arrow at the bottom, and then just go from there. But for the most part, it's the dodges that will really get you your openings in unarmed combat. And it's not that you can't do them in melee combat, but I'll show you right now why you don't need to use it as much in melee combat, because there is a particular technique in the game that is just insane. So let's get into some melee combat. Right, so let's get ourselves into some melee combat now, some sword combat. I've got sword and shield here, but you don't need to use a shield. It's not like it's not necessary, but I've just got one here because I've got one. I just like using the shield. But if you don't use the shield, you can still use the techniques I'm about to show you. Your block just might not be quite as effective all the time. But first of all, if you are looking to practice your melee combat, this guy's the guy to go to. He's at the Nomad's camp. If I just zoom out, there's Troskowitz where you start. Over on the left here, you've got this little lake, and the Nomad's camp is just below the lake. And you're going to want to speak to this guy, Master Tomcat. And the reason you speak to this guy is because he teaches you a couple of things. First of all, he gives you additional training on the perfect block, which we've just been looking at with the unarmed. So when that shield comes up, tapping the block button and then reciprocating with your own, with a riposte or with a counter, basically, when the swords appear. So he teaches you a little bit more about that. But then after he's done the initial training with you, teaching you about blocking and dodging, countering, etc., he actually then, you can challenge him to a duel and then learn something called the Master Strike. And the Master Strike in this game is so easy to perform and absolutely insane in combat. Okay, so I'm going to show you. Let's see if we just practice.
What did you have?
We'll just put practice fight, because it's just to save reloading and all this type of stuff. Short sword, whatever, it won't matter. You can use a short sword too. Okay, let's get started. So I'm just going to start off by looking at the just the perfect block. So just waiting for that shield to come up, and then just, well, let's look at normal block first. So if I just hold down the block button and just wait for him to, hang on, let's attack him and see if we can make him attack us. So there, and just wait for him to actually come in for the attack. Here you can draw your swords and go for like a push move, like that. So if you're blocking and your opponent's blocking, you go up to them, you get into this interlocked position, and you can like move to the side and then slash at the face, basically there. I'm not sure why he's not. Oh, here we go. I can actually make him attack. So if I hold my block down now, as you can see, we are parrying, but my stamina is beginning to go down. And because he used a combo there, I couldn't block all the strikes. So eventually he did just strike me. But as you can see there, my stamina is going down. And if your stamina reaches the bottom, you'll start taking health damage like that, as you can see there. Okay, so in order to stop that happening, what you're going to want to use is the perfect block. So you're waiting for that shield, and you just tap the block button like that. And it doesn't matter where your sword is. Here my sword's at the complete opposite. I'll get less time to react if I'm further away from where his sword is, but I can still react in time and just get all of these perfect blocks. And again, it uses stamina, but just not quite as much. Oh, actually, does it even use stamina? I'm not sure if that's a perk I've got, though, to be perfectly honest. But as you can see, then perfect blocking. Now, if I want to start riposting, I'll just block and then attack straight after, and I can attack back. Now, let's see if we can get him to block, perfect block our riposte. So, there.
Now you're in trouble.
And he swipes back. See that? So that can happen sometimes with a perfect block, which is not ideal. But what we can do is something called a Master Strike. Now, we perform a Master Strike essentially like this, and I'll explain it to you. Let me get him to just defend himself first. Alright? Let me get him off me, because I need to have him just away slightly. So, now that he's just defended himself, how this works is, as you can see there, his sword is on the right-hand side. Okay? Just strike him so he doesn't engage. Now, what I want to do, in order to first perform a Master Strike, I would have to get my sword to the opposite side to him. So, as you can see, I've moved my sword, my little red arrow, to the left. And I've done that because my opponent's sword is on my right-hand side. If I'm on the same side as him, like this, or up above, or down below, I cannot perform the Master Strike. It must be on the opposite side. So if he's up, if he goes up here, I have to be down below. If he is on the left, I have to be over here on the right, and so on, so on. And you perform the Master Strike essentially by when that little, when the little shield comes up, as soon as you see it, if you click the attack button, you will perform a Master Strike, which means essentially you'll strike your opponent right before they strike you. And it essentially just gives you high damage and a really good opening. Okay? The only thing you need to be careful of is after you've done a Master Strike, don't just immediately start swiping like a nutter, because you'll end up getting yourself killed doing that. But if you just wait, and instead of using Perfect Block all the time, every now and again throw in your Master Strike, then eventually you'll more or less become untouchable, especially in one-on-one combat. In one-on-one combat, it is literally broken. Okay, so let's get into attack now, and I'll show you what I mean. All right, so we'll just wait for him to attack, and there, see that? We've opened him up, and then we've managed to stab him directly in the chest. So here he's on the left, so I'm on the right. I'm just going to wait for him to strike, and then tap the attack button as he strikes. There, and we've got another Master Strike. I've swiped him in the neck. Do you see that? So that is literally, that's genuinely
Let's keep it this. All right.
how insane this strike is. Oh, I've put my sword away there. That's not ideal. Okay, so we want to get him to attack. We're on the opposite side. I'll show you that again. So as he strikes, I'll just strike right then. If you wait too long, you will miss your opportunity, but I'm on the opposite side again. As you can see, he's got his sword on the left, I've got mine on the right. As he strikes, I will strike and get that strike back, and it's just so much more effective than blocking. There you go, I've got him again. So as you can see, he stumbles a lot as well. It causes them to stumble. It's just ridiculously overpowered. The only other technique I would want to show you is if you've got quite a defensive opponent. So I've put Tomcat on defense here, so that's why he's not attacking me anymore. If you've got a really defensive opponent who's like blocking a lot of your strikes, he didn't block that because he was opposite side. You can do two things. One is attack from the opposite side, and you'll have more chance of hitting. But as you can see there, he does block most of them. The other thing you can do is you can charge your attack. So if I hold down the attack button there, you can see Henry getting ready to swing, and then swing. It will take off more stamina from your opponent, and you can charge through. If you get close up, you can sometimes get those little animations. But you can also do what's called a feint. Okay? Now you do a feint by what I would like to do, what I tend to do is get to the opposite side like this. Okay? Hold down to charge an attack, and then right as I let go of the attack button, flick it up, and your opponent will go to block where you were. So if I'm down here and I just flick it up, he will normally go to block the wrong location, and you'll get a strike. Alright, so if I hold here, flick up, see there, he flew his sword over to the right hand side, but I was attacking there. You can do it down to the bottom as well. You can hold it up and then flick it out to the side, and it works really well. So you just hold it down, and then right as you attack, just flick it to a different location, and you will get, more often than not, you'll hit your opponent with, number one, a really strong attack, and two, whilst they're trying to block a different location, just gives you a really big upper hand, basically. But as you can notice, it does use up more stamina. So if you just sit there holding your charge attack for ages, you'll use up way more stamina with your strike. So just bear that in mind. Okay. The final thing we're going to do is we are going to look at combat against more than one opponent, and I'm going to show you what I would recommend doing. Now, it's worth saying that it's obviously trickier, and this is where the combat of the game does find its challenge, I believe, is when you have more than one opponent. let's just talk to Master Tomcat again. Hang on, let's fight. But what I find is, what you're going to want to do, is he refusing to fight now because...
Let's fight.
Stop by when I'm over by the...
Oh, he's not by the pen, technically. You have to let him climb out. What I tend to do anyway, when we are doing outnumbered combat, is circling your opponent, like backing up, circling, and just fighting really defensive can tend to help you quite a bit.
But only...
I don't mind.
All right,
Let's have a little look. Short sword,
And what about
short sword,
as you...
and more than one
ready.
opponent. So we're going to have a little look at that now. We'll start with two, just so I can show you it a little bit better. So here, what I'm doing, because Tomcat's on the right, I'm just going to circle to the left, and I'm fighting just this guy. Okay, so we're going to strike him down, and I'm just circling. If Tomcat switches sides, then I'll start circling. There he goes. I'll go to the opposite direction now. Okay, and essentially, as you can see here, he's trying to get round. If he does get in front, switch opponent, and just circle the other opponent. Alright, like you can see there. Does that make... hopefully that does make sense. As you can see, I'm just fighting then only one opponent. It's obviously much too trickier with three opponents, and I'll show you that in a second. But as you can see, the other guy's trying to come around there. If he does get round, don't be afraid of just sprinting out and then just getting on the defensive. If he gets round you like that, I'll just switch and I'll come over here. Now Tomcat's at the back, this guy's at the front, and I can focus my attention on him. There you go. And I'm just using my feints and things here just to get attacks in.
Fucking hell.
And then I'll just move out. As Tomcat gets closer,
What do you want?
I'll just move around him there. And I'll just make my way back round. So I've got that space again. And that's basically all you're going to do the entire time. If you do notice your opponent lunge in like that, tap the block button. You can still block when you're not facing the opponent who attacks you. Obviously, you need to do it at the right time, but you can still do it. Weirdly, even if they're kind of behind you, you can still do it. So it's definitely worth noting. Just keep an eye on both opponents regardless, and you can still manage to get it done that way. And I'll show you that now with three opponents. It is slightly tougher with three opponents, but nevertheless, let's
try.
And what...
let's have a little look at it anyway. So short sword, more than one opponent, three. Okay. Now here, obviously I'm just going to pick a side. There's a guy on my left, so I need to get them in front of me. I can see all three of them now, so I'm just going to back up as far as I can. And then I'm just focusing on that one enemy. And there you go, I'm just blocking away. As you can see there, two of them attacked me at once, and that's the danger of the three when you're fighting against the three. But you just want to keep circling around, basically. And if you do that, just keep the blocks coming up. There we go. And I'm just blocking my way out of it. And then when I get my opportunity, I'm going to strike back, just like that. You can now use the Master Strike as well. Sometimes your opponents will get a little bit scared when you Master Strike an opponent right in front of them. So let's get this guy to attack, and I'll Master Strike there. And then it just gives me a little bit of space because he got stumbled, essentially. So I'm just waiting now. Is he going to attack there? Oh, it's the wrong guy. So Tomcat's attacking me, and I'm just, as you can see, I'm just defending myself. Just defend. Wait for your openings. You don't need to go crazy. And there we go. I'll get my Master Strike in there, and then I'll focus back on this guy who started circling. He got closer, so I focused on him. Tomcat's got closer there, so I've refocused on him, and I'm just going to circle back around. And that's essentially it. That's all you're doing the entire time. You just circle around. So what we're going to do now... Oh, hang on. I'm going to stop getting attacked here. There we go. Okay, let's end this fight. And let's actually go and get into a real fight now. So I'm going to skip, and we're going to go and get into a real fight. And I can show you just how effective these techniques can be. Okay, so up ahead here, we've got an ambush going on. So we may as well show you here just how effective this can be. We're going to run up and just get ourselves involved. There's two guys there, so immediately I'm just looking to Master Strike this guy. There we go, straight away I've stabbed him in the neck. And it is this easy. As you can see, the other guy's trying to come around me now, so I'm just backing up, and I'm just going to Master Strike again, and then back up again. There we go, just wait for the attack to come. to make sure I'm on the opposite plane. And there's me Master Strike again there. And I'm just backing up every time. Let's go for a feint attack. I ended up with a Master Strike there just because of my timing. There we go. I won't get too attack heavy here, but this guy's gotten up closer. So I'm just going to make sure now that I go and circle round to this guy. And essentially that's all you do over and over again. There's a heavy attack there, and I'm going to circle back around just to make sure that that guy can't flank me. Go for another Master Strike. This guy's unarmoured as well, so he's not going to last very long against the Master Strikes. Just waiting for him to attack. He's got his sword up, so I'll put mine down, and there's the kill on him. His friend's going to come straight in for an attack here, and he's going to get, unfortunately for him, really badly beaten up now on feints. There we go. So immediately I'm just using feint. Now obviously you can learn the combos and things, but you don't really need to, and he's already surrendered, so let's just finish him off there. And as you can see, it's literally so effective. I haven't even lost health. 2v1, haven't lost health. Just by literally just circling around, keeping my distance and playing defensive. And then once I've gotten one-on-one, using those feints to just dive straight in. I'm just going to find another fight, and then I'll be back again. Okay, so we're actually here now at a little enemy camp, and they just keep spawning back here. So if you want to practice fights against multiple enemies, this is a great place to do it. And we're essentially going to do a more kind of extreme version of a multiple person fight, because there's like 5 people in this camp normally. So we're going to aggro these two. This guy might get a hit on me whilst I'm running over to his friends here, which is, you know, it's just unfortunate, but it is what it is. Okay, we've got 3 of them now. And then we're just going to go back to what we were doing. So this guy's on me left, so I'm just going to get to him first. Might get a guy come up behind me. If I do, I'll just quickly sprint away. Okay, this guy's got closer now, so we're just going to wait there. And he's going for that strike, and I missed my time in there. But there's my Master Strike. So straight away, I'm in there, and I've gotten, well, there's a kill on that guy straight away. Look at that. Perfect. So I'm just going to start circling around this guy now. And he's got a shield, so he's going to take longer to kill. Yeah, but that's absolutely fine. He's not attacking me, so I'm going to get him aggroed a little bit by attacking him. And then I can start Master Striking away. And I'm just going to keep going round to the left, round to the left. As you can see, that guy's really trying to circle me here. But I'm not letting him get there. We can switch over to him if the other guy just won't attack. And we'll just wait for him to go for it. Oh, you missed. Sorry, mate. There you go. Nice and easy. And as you can see, I'm just basically reflecting what he does. So whichever way he goes, I'm just making sure I'm on the opposite side. And then from there, we can get ourselves... And we've got a kill there. Perfect. Last guy now. So we'll get the Master Strike again there. And he's gone. It is that easy. Just to show that, obviously, when you're in one-on-one combat, you don't really need to go for a Master Strike as such. Let's aggro this guy. Hello. And what we're going to do now is just show how useful those feints are. So if we can get him over here, pretend to go. Oh, we got a good attack in there. It's good timing from him. Just defend. I'm just going to feint one way and go up, as you can see. Feinting one way, going up. And he's dead in 2 swipes. Now, obviously, he's not armoured, so, you know, that will play a part. But all the same, like, it's just, it is crazy, isn't it? Like, it's, as I say, the combat in this game, it's easy once you know exactly what you're doing. And we're in the first section of the game here as such. So, obviously, the enemies aren't as skilled. They're not doing, like, big grapples and things like that. But in terms of the basic combat, like the bare bones basic combat, if you know just the things I've shown you in this video, you can get through this game with absolutely no issue whatsoever. You'll be able to max out your combat skills. You'll win the majority of your fights, even when outnumbered, as long as you use that distance and that timing well. You shouldn't struggle with the game whatsoever, with a combat system that looks complicated, but in reality it's just not that complicated. Use your Master Strikes, use your feints, and then obviously when you then go and learn some of the combos from, I'll just show you again, when you go and learn then some of the combos from like here, As you can see, there's 9 one-handed sword combos that you can learn eventually, and you start mixing those into your combat as well. You literally will just become more or less untouchable. It's just spend some time. Just go to Master Tomcat, spend some time in there, get the timings down, and you will become like basically a god. Like it is quite simple once you get the basics down to a certain point. Yeah. But yeah, that's a deep dive into the basics of unarmed and melee combat in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Hopefully this has helped. If you want a more in-depth guide for later on in the game, let me know down below, and I can go into more detail, get some of the other weapons out, look at some of the combos more in depth. We can do that. So if that's something you are more, if you're looking to really dig deep into the combat of this game and you're wondering how to go about that, let me know. I'll throw a video up. But in terms of just getting through the game, this should, it should not even it should be, this is enough to get you through the majority, or if not, well, all of the game. Master strikes are just ridiculous the entire time. And then feints when you're one-on-one, they just I don't know, maybe they'll patch it at some point, but the enemies one-on-one just can't deal with feints. They just can't deal with it. Only other thing I would note just before I finish this video off is when you fight against knights, like actual knights, they are much better at blocking, obviously. So your fights are going to last longer, but as long as you know how to defend yourself with that perfect block and use those master strikes at the correct times, you won't even struggle with knights. It literally is. I really like, basically I just really like this combat system. I think it's really good. It has enough challenge, but also enough accessibility to where you can become really, really good at it. But yeah, hopefully this has helped anyway. If it has, make sure to leave a like and comment down below and subscribe. If you do want a more in-depth dive into some of the other weapons and some of the later fights, like late game, and how to maybe go about them, or even how to go about specific fights against specific enemies, comment it below and I will throw a video up on how to beat certain enemies, etc. But yeah, hopefully you have at least enjoyed or found this a little bit helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.